Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to another Kerfuffle Showcase. Rich, fantastic to have you here from the Prop Tech Leviathan Build Your Market. How are you, mate? Are you okay?
Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah.
As I would expect with someone of your technical prowess, you're all Jerry Maguire'd up, so I'm expecting nothing but the very best in terms of sound quality and everything. Rich, we've had Damon on before. I referred to you guys as you weren't one of the first prop techs, but you were certainly in the wave just after that, and I think that was in a almost direct response to the issues when Rick and Damon had started the business, hadn't they? Challenges they themselves were facing there. You guys have been in the game for so long now, haven't you? That you've kind of seen all the different ages and everything else there. That leads us kind of to the question: how have you seen the agents, first of all, get used to digital marketing in general, and where do you think they're up to at the moment?
Interesting question, because it is one of our biggest challenges, actually. We don't actually have to pitch and sell brief your market. What we actually have to do is pitch and educate people as to the importance of digital marketing, because actually the facility to do it, you can use lots of different facilities. Obviously ours is the best one, as we would say, because ours is integrated with the other software providers, which makes it easier for everybody to use, and we obviously provide content and things like that. But the theory of digital marketing, actually with COVID-19, it's really helped us, because everybody suddenly wasn't allowed to go in their offices, and sat at home and went, oh Christ, what do I do to contact my my customer base? How do I keep in touch with them? How do I generate more business? And obviously the answer to that is digital marketing. They need to be at the forefront of the consumer's mind's eye all the time. They've all got these huge databases in the UK, and you know, it's interesting because I know you've had some people from Australia on and things like that, and the difference between their market and our market is, in the UK, the average estate agent will have about 20,000 contacts in their database. In Australia, they'll have about 200 contacts, and they'll literally ring them every single month and stay in contact with them every single month. In the UK, with 20,000 contacts, you can't ring them every single month. It's impossible. So therefore, you need to stay at the forefront of their mind's eye for when they are ready to sell. It might be a past buyer, a past seller who sold 7 years ago or something, and when they want to resell, you want your business to be at the forefront of their mind's eye, and the only way to do that is through digital marketing, really, at the end of the day. So
that's an interesting point, that, and it's certainly I've seen it as true to a point. Why do you feel that is the case? That difference with it? What's the nuance in their marketplace that means that they don't have these huge? Because I think it's also fair to say, isn't it? It's not always a good thing. You do hear some agents talk very proudly and almost brag about the fact we've got 40,000 contacts in there, which again is one of those vanity stats, because without the engagement in there, it's meaningless anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So why do you think there is the two differences between it? Is it just because Aussie agents have a more personal sort of relationship with it, and it's not the brand per se that does the marketing?
Yeah, exactly. It's more of a personal relationship outside the UK. So it's the same in Australia, in America. People might even go to an estate agent when they're buying a house and have a search agent. Now, we have that a little bit in London, but outside of London, not really. They actually see them as the person who's going to help them through the whole process overseas. And it's easier for the person to help them with the whole process overseas, because they might get 3 to 6% commission. In the UK, you know, you're sort of the 1s and 2%. So it doesn't command that fee level that you build a rapport.
Are you saying we have to do more than just to make the numbers stack up?
Yeah, we end up a lot more volume merchant as a business, unfortunately, just to make it stack up. And what as a consequence is we use portals like the Rightmoves, the Zooplas, and the on the markets. We end up with giant databases because all the buyers then flow through those databases. But yeah, in Australia, you might have your 20 clients that you're servicing this month that you're actually looking for properties for, as well as selling properties. You know, it's kind of like that. So it's a lot more personal service outside the UK than it is in the UK.
But you're trying to change that. Obviously, that whole digital that digital angle isn't meant to replace human contact, is it? It's allowed you to be much more targeted with it and to deliver where you need to. You know, simply delivering automated stats on that is no. There's no need for that. There's no place for that, is there? It needs to be very hands-on, targeted. What do they call it? Sniper shot style marketing. Exactly. When you're talking to somebody.
Yeah, it needs to have a mixture of both. The automation to take the process, so you know everything's going out of your hands, but then, as you say, be specific about what's going out to people, because you can be really, really relevant, especially if you've got an integration there. You can then snippet in lots of relevant information. So somebody who bought a house off you 5 years ago, you could send a 5-year anniversary message saying you bought a house off us 5 years ago, 42 Acacia Avenue, for this price on this date. You're coming up for a 5-year anniversary of exchange. Would you be interested in updated valuation, or even cross-sell? Thinking of refinancing, here's the latest mortgage rates from our mortgage broker. But it's not intended to replace personal service. It's intended to generate you a lead that you then follow up and follow up with personal service. And there's even lead scoring built into platforms like ours nowadays as well. So you can actually go on and it will lead score all of the individuals based upon their behavior. So that's behavior across email and website, to identify who the best people are you should be speaking to when you should be speaking to them. So it's sifting down the 20,000 contacts to a manageable number that are engaging with you, are interested in doing something with you at that point in time. That's the point of it.
So I see EDM providers, and you're far more than just an EDM, electronic direct mail provider, as they call them these days. You've truly grown into there's a whole data collection services, isn't there, and analytical elements to what you do there. But for me, if there was two goals that, if you like, the everyday agent would be looking for, it would be the one that I've made myself, as usual, very unpopular with agents by saying, look, you're not short of leads. Stop moaning you're short of leads. You've got the leads, but admittedly, you find it hard to qualify the hot ones, the Glengarry, Glen Ross style leads, and get to them first and foremost. And then you do find it also difficult to deal with the other leads, who many will unfairly deem tire kickers. And so actually, a lot of the time, they simply just don't service it. Now, the companies like Brief Your Market, if they can deliver on just those two main elements there, you're doing more than I would suggest 90% of the agents in the UK are doing at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, that's exactly it. What we have an approach that we call it kiss and forget marketing that you're referring to there. Somebody who's landed in their database, they don't have time to service properly. They might send them some details or something like that. They end up in the archive folder on their software system and they're not serviced. Yeah. We will then engage with those people and nurture market them until they're at a stage where they are ready to be speaking to somebody. So yeah, we don't, as you say, the volumes of leads registering, they don't need any more. They just need to service those ones properly and nurture them into certain funnels and certain journeys. And that's where we kick in and help with that. And that is the importance of digital marketing. When you've got giant databases, you have to sift them, but you also have to engage with it. It's not, for me, it's not just about repeat business opportunities or generating business in there. It's also the cross-sell and the upsell. So the first thing I'll do with an estate agent is say, okay, let's have a look at your database and what you've got in there. And one of the easiest upsells, for instance, is I'll go, well, look at all these let-only landlords you serviced over the last 10 years. You've got 300 let-only landlords or 3,000 let-only landlords. If we only converted 10% of them to fully managed, there's a great upsell there for you. And then cross-sell. Why are we not talking about mortgages, conveyancing, media services, insurance services during the journey? Because actually, for me, estate agents don't sell houses anymore. That's not what it's about. It's about helping people move. That's their job, is helping people move. And therefore, the more services you can help people with, you're not having to ram them down their throat and sell them at them. If you can just help the people with those things and you help them move, then you're going to be seen as a much better, more, full service estate agent at the end of the day.
An expert in your field, isn't it? And I think the advantage here is, as you said, Rich, is that actually, because we sell and move so rarely, genuinely, the public, the punter on the whole, doesn't really know what the limits of what an agent is supposed to do. So as long as you come across confidently and knowledgeably, everything's open to you, from financial services, conveyancing, utilities. I love the idea of the concierge services, people like the go-tos of the world. Positioned properly, you shouldn't feel embarrassed about that. That should be genuinely put on there as an extra reason to go to the agent, shouldn't it? And I think we still feel a little bit too much, and certainly all the stats show you, looking in all the CRM packages, that front office staff do not like cross-selling, or find it very difficult rather to cross-sell too many different products. And that's where the digital journey does come in, doesn't it?
It does. It'll help automate it, so it takes it out of the hands. Somebody books a viewing, books a second viewing, offer made, offer accepted. You could be triggering out those journeys at those points, saying, "Have you sorted out your ongoing costs of the purchase? Do you know what they're likely to be? We can give you a suggestion as what they're likely to be for conveyancing. Have you got an agreement in principle for mortgaging? We can help you with that." Because quite a lot of people don't even know what their affordability is. People will go, "Oh, we think we're looking for a £300,000 house." They won't have done an affordability check, and they could actually be able to afford a £400,000 house.
And that's been fairly fluid during lockdown, hasn't it? As financial services rules have tightened, loosened, seemingly on a weekly basis. You do need to have that expertise. By the way, I'm a little bit peeved there. The kiss and forget was something I told Damon in confidence about my time at university. So he's a little bit naughty there. You can have a word with him about that, but I'll get the paycheck for the use of that. Actually, let's start there then, Rich. I mean, we don't have to don't let's do a war and peace on it. But first of all, give us a bit of background, as we do very briefly there on the company, and then talk about you, especially you joining the business. That's where I'm keen to find as well.
Yeah. So I've been with the business for 4 years now. I think it's 4 years. Before that, I was with the Guild and Fine and Country, and before that, I had my own business. So I got into the industry through selling international properties over in Italy. Linked together with UK estate agents, and actually worked with Coldwell Banker to bring Coldwell Banker to Europe and link all of those together while I was selling international property. Then formed JV with the Guild and Fine and Country, eventually joined them, spent 10 years there, really enjoyed that journey. And that sort of really indoctrinated me even closer to estate agency, to really understand, what their goals were, what they needed to do, and that's really helped me as I came across here. So then, I've been here 4 years. Biggest challenge set me when I joined the business was to understand why customers were leaving the business, because we had a leaky bucket, if you like, back then, and really that.
Richard, that's true as well, isn't it? It's a really tough vertical to be in, isn't it, EDM? Because it's very easy to sign up to these ones, but the expectation level often doesn't match initial results. And so you do see, whether it's from MailChimp all the way through to your Parduts at the very top, very high levels of churn, don't you? So I know you've been honest, and I think Damon was saying in the early days, obviously there was absolutely exponential growth there, and then struggled a little bit with the customer service, and it took a while for you to sort of review that again, wasn't it? Find out what the punters really want, and pivot and change your business approach. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%, and that's why I now don't compare ourselves to a Pardot, a MailChimp, because actually we're not software as a service. So but when I joined, everybody thought this business was software as a service, and it's only recently that we've sort of pushed them to go, no, actually we're a marketing business with the added benefit that we have software that powers the marketing. Because software as a service, people come along and you go, yep, there's your software, off you go, do your marketing. In our industry, they either don't have time to do their marketing, they don't know what marketing they should be doing to achieve the best results. And so what they actually need is guidance on both content as to what they should be doing, how to do it, and in some cases they even need a fully managed service where we will actually do the sending for them, so they can outsource the whole marketing to us and we will literally be doing all the sends for them. and actually in our industry, I find that's what our customers need more and more. So if you like, we're a marketing consultancy with the added benefit of the software there.
And this is where the knowledge of you guys in a estate agency really comes into play. We were talking, we had a focus on the websites in the industry. And what was very interesting is they obviously, all of the guys, from Starbreeze through to the Home Flows, Property Jungles, Estate Apps, they disagreed on many, many points. But the one thing that they absolutely all concurred on was they all said, obviously, come to us individually. If not, go to one of the other ones, because it's just so risky going to somebody who doesn't understand the industry. You could spend a lifetime and very expensively, talking to people who are quite adept in their core skill, aren't they, of websites or digital marketing. But you can't wait for them to catch up a lot of the time, can you?
No, 100%. So we talk the agent's language. So we understand their goals. They want more valuations, more instructions, more mortgage appraisals, more conveyancing referrals, those goals. And we actually display those goals to them. Because we're direct marketers, we're actually able to track anybody who's clicking or opening an email saying, I'm interested in a valuation, goes back up inside the software as a valuation book. So in Repit, Desres, Vibra, whoever, as a valuation book, we can track and join those two together. So we can actually show them what their goals are. Whereas if you go to a generic software provider like a MailChimp or a Dotmailer or something like that, first of all, you're going to have to import your data into it in the first place. But then there is no mechanism for tracking your return on investment, because you're just going to send out a load of emails and you'll have your click-through rate and your open rate and link clicks and things like that. But none of them actually are relevant to what your goals are. We'll actually say, no, here's the campaign to send. Let's hit everybody at a 5-year anniversary of exchange for revaluation, remortgage. Let's hit them with these calls to action. And when they click it, let's track them, and we'll actually tell you how many you get through for revaluation work and how many you get through for remortgage work. And we'll track them all the way through the process and show you financially how much return on investment using the system and the marketing can work for you.
And that dashboard, again, isn't it, is really born out of that, looking at like what was out there in the wider world and seeing, and I think your challenge again there with some clients was that it was just their inability to be able to talk about ROI. Suppliers are very good at talking about the ROI we deliver, less good about actually putting specifics on it. And now that new dashboard that you've got in, is it Boost, the Boost Your Market part of the element there, really ties all of these elements down together, doesn't it, to give you a very clear idea of exactly what business you're getting out of the back of it. And that's just the stuff you can definitively lay your hat on, isn't it? There will obviously be other soft benefits that, of course, are harder to gauge.
Yeah, there's all the brand awareness benefits and things like that, because we still advocate brand awareness. But the campaign benefits, where you're going to send a campaign or a triggered journey that literally have a call to action, we will track all of that return on investment from those activities. It's born. The reason we did the ROI dashboard is it is born out of the churn. So we looked at the churn and we said, what were the common reasons why customers left us? And they were that they didn't know what to send and when to send it. They didn't have time to send anything. So to put the content together was the biggest part that they said they didn't have time to do. They didn't know what return they were getting when they were sending it. So they were going, oh, it's all nice, and people say our marketing's nice, but don't know what it's doing for me. So that's where we flipped the company over the last 4 years, is to gear it to be a marketing consultancy business that helps them understand what they should be sending, when they should be sending it, and what return they're getting from sending it. And as you say, that Boost dashboard will even lead score individuals on that and say, yeah, this is what you should be sending. Here's your return. But here's even individuals that are in the nurture funnel that you could even pick up the phone to these guys if you want to.
Yeah, and it's literally teeing those up and saying, whatever else you do today, these, some people have an ethos of 10 calls before 10, don't they? Yeah. Those are the ones that you get on board with and make sure that you obviously deliver for it. Now, looking at your client base, of course, is very true as well. You've dealt with some of the very, and still deal with some of the very, top-end agents, leading agents, thought leaders there. I was having a look just before, and I think they've just posted it up here again, just talking about, obviously, Kai it over at Bradley's, fantastic agency down on the South Coast. The ease in which it allows you to communicate with your database, whether that be all or part of it. And I think that's a crucial element, isn't it, that people often underestimate. And you were talking about there, which was in the early days. I remember Rick and Damon talking about, the ability to be prescriptive, that ability to actually log in and get certain information. So, and I always challenge them, well, is that something that, people actually use, that categorization? And it's really, really interesting now, isn't it, that actually almost all digital marketing has gone down that route now, because without being able to segment it in that way and then deliver it there, ultimately you're still going to probably be spamming people to a large degree, aren't you?
Yeah. So obviously, the more relevant you make content, the higher your response rate. So that categorization, well, actually, GDPR has helped us enormously with categorization. And there's not many people who will look at it and go, GDPR's helped you? but GDPR has, because what GDPR says is you should only send people stuff that's relevant for them, and you should have the ability to allow them to decide what's relevant and opt in and have content that's specific for them. So that's helped us in a way, because everybody then started using our preference engine. And as you say, our preference engine was born out in the beginning in 2008 when the business was started. And it was just a happy coincidence that GDPR came along and we went, oh, well, actually, our preference engine does exactly what this is. No development required. So yeah, to be specific about it, and it enables the customer to be in control of their own journey. So you might say, yes, I'm interested in understanding about mortgage rates, because you are coming up for your mortgage anniversary, and so then you can specify that and receive content specific for that.
And indeed, self-service, amend those, edit them as and when you need, can't you?
Yeah, you can change them at any point in time. So it's not just a case of unsubscribe as a link at the bottom of the email. It's unsubscribe or edit preferences, because you might not want to unsubscribe from the whole mix. You might want to just unsubscribe from certain elements, or subscribe for additional elements, that kind of thing.
So we touched on a lot of this already, Rich, but I mean, ultimately, why should agents use digital marketing? Is it simply the inheritor of direct mail and the hard copy ones there, or are there other better reasons why digital marketing has to be considered these days? And I mean, is it even relevant? Is there anyone genuinely that isn't doing digital marketing, do you think, still?
Yeah, no, there are a lot still not doing digital marketing, 100%. But COVID's helped us massively so, because even my mum understands what digital means nowadays. She's there on Skype, on Zoom. She knows all the technologies better than me now. She's on all of these chat conversations, and that's a massive leap forwards, because people didn't understand that actually, you can communicate digitally, you can conduct business virtually. You can be in Wales while I'm in Derby, and I've
virtually done business for years now.
Yeah, you virtually have. I like it. But yeah, no. So yeah, being digital, every estate agent was online, because they all had websites and they all have Rightmove, but that's not digital marketing.
Passive, isn't it? That's passive. For people to essentially find you and then being impressed enough with how you look, whereas marketing is the promotion of your talent and wares, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's the promotion of it. It's the sifting of your audience down to the suitable audience. It's categorization of what levels of interest they might have and sending them the relevant information. And they all will have done. The softwares have a match service, so they'll all have done a match on properties. But then, what are they doing to find new buyers amongst the database? New vendors amongst the database. What are they doing to talk about the ancillary services? And you'll be amazed how many agents still don't do digital marketing and don't do these things. And they'll,
I might have to do a little bit of a survey on that, because that's quite fascinating to find out that. And what are they missing out on if they're? I mean, what are those key opportunities, Rich? What would you say to those people why they should obviously give it a go?
So I'll give you an example. So we work with one of the largest conveyancers in the industry, and they were reliant upon an estate agent saying, "Oh, by the way, have you sorted out your conveyancing? If not, I can refer you across to my panel of lawyers, etc."
Yeah.
They were reliant upon that. We said, well, actually, we think if we did this via digital marketing, we could get you a much, much higher response rate and a much higher penetration. So what we did was at those key points during the journey that I talked about earlier, first viewing, second viewing, offer made, offer accepted, we put pieces of digital marketing together, fired it out to people and fired the data across. And at those key points, we've increased the amount of referrals for conveyancing going across to that firm from their introducer agents by 20%. So there's a 20% uplift there. Now, you can imagine if you could put a 20% uplift on your mortgage work, your conveyancing work, your insurance work, how much that's worth to a business, it's big numbers.
It really is, Rich, and therein lies the problem, isn't it? That sometimes those big numbers, and I know this because I'm sat on the other side of the fence now, those big numbers can work against you because, frankly, they sometimes come across as just not being believable. You know, we've been laughed at as suppliers for years for saying, you know, you just need one more instruction, and agents are just glaze over. But the problem with it is it doesn't leave you with much anywhere else to go, and actually sometimes that it's absolutely true. Indeed, it's underselling it to say you're only going to get one more instruction. So it's not the fact that you're saying you can get one more instruction with this. It's the ability to demonstrate it effectively, isn't it? Is the key. Because correct. And let's be very honest, Rich, you don't need to have a upswing of 20% in many of these key ratios to pay for brief your market. You will need a tiny percentage of a point upswing, won't you, to see that, because it is not an expensive service. I mean, all services are expensive if they don't work, but with your ability to measure this now, it's there for you in black and white, isn't it, essentially?
Yeah. Yeah, well, to be honest, we would even for the Kerfuffle audience, we would even put a money back guarantee out there that we would say, if we don't generate you X number of valuations, and we'll just measure it on valuations, let alone the mortgages, conveyancing, because they all still see them as ancillary. On the number of valuations, if we don't generate you X number, so if you're a one branch agent, let's say, I don't generate you 6 additional valuations by the end of month 3, provable by somebody clicking book evaluation in the emails that we're sending out, they could exit our service and have their money back. Because I know we can do that. I've just got up on screen in front of me. I just thought I'd have a look, see what we've done with Bradley's over this quarter. So Bradley's from the, if I just turn off automation, from just the campaigns going out, we've generated them 64 additional valuations worth £230,000.
And I happen to know your service isn't £230,000 a year, is it?
No, it's 500,000. No, nowhere near that, mate. Nowhere near that. The average single branch estate agent will pay us £394 a month. So we're absolutely nowhere near that. The minimum expectation we would set is that we want to 5x somebody's investment in brief your market, but that's a very minimum because we know we can do a lot more than that.
I guess that's one of the nice things. You haven't been in this for such a long period of time with such a large breadth and experience with the agents. You can be quite punchy and quite knowledgeable about those stats as well, isn't it? So that's great. You can put your faith in that as well. And it's all about, obviously, the agent's data there. So how does BYM help agents explore, that using market data as well?
Okay, so actually it's about 3 pieces of data. Number 1, it's about their database, and we'll help them build that database with data capture units like online valuation tools that we give them on their website, registrations for newsletters and things like that. So that's 1, that's about their database, how we can help them maximize the return on investment from that. But then we also have on-market data and off-market data. homeowner and home mover data. So homeowner data, all the people who live in an agent's area, we get that from credit reference agencies and then enable them to profile it to, for instance, identify all landlords living in an area. So we identify second homeowners living in an area and they can write to those and target those. So that enables them to get after the audience living locally and homeowners. We then have home mover data, whereby we have all of the data that's on Rightmove and Zoopla, all of the listings that are on there that comes through every 4 hours to us. So we're able to identify new listings, withdrawals, fall throughs, and we put the house number and name against those listings wherever we can. There's like 36 different sources that help us do that. Put the house number and name against it, enable the agent to target it via letter. Or the key bit is, because again we're integrated with the CRMs, the Repits, the Desreses, we can also cross-populate that data and work out whether they exist as a contact in their existing database, and if they do, put the email address or mobile number against it to enable them to then send them emails. So they don't just tout with letters, they can actually tout with emails or just call them up, because we identify the correlation straight away for them on the dashboard.
Excellent. That's really good to know. And Shell Killoran here just comments on our previous point there. Yeah, many are still doing leaflet drops, hand delivering them. Imagine what the ROI is. The need to invest in the future. You made a lot of good points there, Rich. So good to hear that there. Now, one point that we were going to talk about, obviously, which surprised me a little bit, because let's just, Sharon's just up on. Hi, Sharon here. Apologising, just joined. You don't have to worry about that, Sharon. But she just mentioned she had a demo, but they couldn't integrate with her CRM. Now, I'll be very surprised about that, because of course, is one of the key areas you've been, very, very prevalent. You were the first company really to go out to all the main ones there. So, Sharon, it'd be useful if you could just drop into the comments which CRM it is. I'm sure. I mean, the problem is that there are 1,000,001 there. But ordinarily, Rich, haven't you? You've got integrations with all the main, all
the major ones. Yeah, we've got all the repits. All the different versions. Desres, Vibra, Dupix, Expert Agent. We've even got some strange, obscure ones out there as well. Property Pro, things like that. So we have most of the major ones, but we also have an open API.
Yeah.
Which means
so if they need to, they can. That provider can then basically get around. So that's you essentially absolving yourself of anything here, isn't it? It's basically saying, look, we've got an open API. If the CRM provider feels that this will be a benefit, they can integrate. And then of course, there's always the ability to have CSV imports, isn't there? I know it's not ideal, but on the whole, you're not importing, for a lot of this stuff, not overly regularly, are you?
So you can import data, and if you import every day, it'll work exactly the same as an integrated solution. If you don't, the concern is then over customer journeys. So if we're triggering out pre-valuation messages, post-valuation, viewing feedback questionnaires, stuff like that, if we're triggering those out, if they don't import every day, those could fail on us. But it still allows them to use, I'd say 60-70% of the system, because you can still do your campaigns, you can still use the on-market data, the off-market data, get newsletters out there, and some wider triggered data like the 1-year anniversaries and things like that, because you're going to import before a year comes up. But if you're doing, like, if you want daily triggers going out, then you have to be careful with doing imports. But yes, you can still use it, and we still have a lot of clients who do use it.
Well, she makes a point here. Currently, Domus, although she's changed to Agent Hub, that's one of the Salesforce ones, and I'm pretty sure you've had an integration with Salesforce before now, haven't you?
Yeah, we do have an integration with Salesforce. So the only challenge with Salesforce is every single user has a different setup to Salesforce. It's not like a standard setup. However, what I can tell you is we're in conversation with Agent Hub to do an integration with themselves. So we are in conversation there.
Sharon, the property family, is coming together to help you. And actually, sorry, I've just read the last bit, through being on one of your Kerfuffle lives. So that's
Yeah,
even
there you
better.
go.
Well done. There you are, Sharon. Big fan, and I'm a big fan of yours. Great. Okay, so how important has that integration piece been in Brief Your Market's success, though? Because I guess that's very hard for other people to break into this industry if they don't have that. If they don't have that experience and that knowledge base of talking, because as you mentioned there, each Salesforce iteration is its own build essentially. There, learning what the peculiarities are of each of the different CRMs is a learning journey in its own right, isn't it?
Yeah, the CRMs have been pivotal in our success, really, to be honest with you, because we're the only company who can interrogate data and go, oh, show me who the let-only landlords are for this company. Show me everyone who's coming up for a 1-year anniversary of exchange. And then, on top of that, record the return on investment when they are booking in as a valuation. So nobody can do that without manual imports, exports all over the place, and then the big PSG providers, so the Vibras, the Dupixes, don't allow anybody to integrate with them. So there's nobody can have those levels of integration bar us. So yeah, they have been pivotal in our success, and really it's critical for what we want to do and how we want to help our customers get that return on investment, really. In terms of understanding them, they are complex beasts, and every single one have a different database structure. I won't go into the technical detail of it, though you'll know it. But they're pretty vast, and they decide to store data in different ways. Some might store it that they have a contact-centric version of the database. Some might store it that they don't make it contact-centric. They make it centric upon property, and it's all over the place, to be honest.
And I think the problem is, as well, is we need to be much clearer about what the phrase integration means, because it was very much, if you went back, sort of 10 years ago, yes, integration meant I just don't have to do that CSV export and everything else. As people have become more and more used to, not least just on their phones and things like that, integration in some people's minds is two-way integration. Are you at the stage where you have that level of any two-way integration with CRMs, or is that still kind of waiting for the likes of Foundations with Repeat and everything else to develop on? Where's that kind of challenge on the roadmap? Because really, a CRM should work hand in glove with a system like yours, shouldn't it?
100%. 100%.
Albeit you might be using different companies, actually the end user shouldn't know that, should they?
Yeah, 100%. Two-way is exactly where we should be right now, and the forward-thinking CRMs have been really rapid in developing this. So you mentioned Foundations with Repeat. Yes, we have a two-way integration with Repeat, which is great, because then we're able to feed back all of the click-throughs, the opens. You're able to see what they're responding to, which campaigns from inside the CRM, things like that. We've actually done it ahead of property, though, in the insurance sector. They were really quick at doing things like that. So we integrate with Actress.
That's what you want to hear, isn't it? You want to hear insurance is ahead of you in the great. Everyone's going to feel very proud of that.
Well, I tell you where we are ahead, though. This is really interesting, because I get to see leisure, hospitality, all different verticals, and where the estate agency industry is leaps and bounds ahead of anybody else is the portals, is the way we market. Because you take let's take a pizza place. So we'll take hospitality. We'll take a pizza place. My local pizza place, Mario's, down the road from me. He's now really under threat, because all of the franchise and big corporates have come in, and they've really started to hammer him. Because when you order a pizza now, you probably think of Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, don't you? You don't walk round down to Mario's anymore. So poor old Mario's going out of business, and he's going, oh, what do I do? What do I do? Along come Just Eat and Hungry House, which is really, in our language, Zoopla and Rightmove. But they're only just coming around now. You know, think how old Rightmove is versus how old these are, and you do cringe when you see these guys jump in bed with Hungry House and Just Eat. To be honest with you, because you go, oh God, we know where this goes. Your price is going to go up every month for the next 20 years.
And they are. I mean, they are already having those conversations, aren't they? I've heard them talk about how heavy the cuts can be, but that's a really interesting comparison, that, because you're right. Not least it's my own favourite comparison, of course, because between Uber Eats, Deliveroo and Just Eat is pretty much my nightly routine. So that, are there any other areas you think that because of that necessity, because we've been for the best part of 10, 15 years, had that peculiarity of the portal market, that we're better placed? You've spoken about the fact that because of the tightness of the fee, we've had to be very efficient, and certainly that's my experience borne out when I do look at some of the Australian, marketplaces. We are able to do numbers, very large numbers, very effectively.
Yeah. So I mean, if I sort of carry on the analogy, if you take the Paul Mario's, what he's now got to do is do some digital marketing for himself. That's the only way he is going to counteract the Just Eat and the Hungry House need. He needs to capture everybody's mobile number when they come in, so he can be text messaging everybody out with the Domino's offers of this world. He needs to capture their email addresses and be making the same level of offers and that the corporates are doing. And the same's true of an estate agent. So, your over-reliance on your portals, you can do something about it. You can address that balance. You can actually do some digital marketing by marketing to the people yourselves. So make sure you're capturing their email addresses. Make sure you're capturing their mobile numbers. Let's start to do some digital marketing, and that's the difference, mate. And so that's where I don't have any Australia analogies with that, other than I know the size of their databases are different, but yeah.
And how much time is involved with digital marketing and the platform then? How much?
Yeah, so it's a very good question, because because we feed content in the system, we actually plan the schedules a quarter in advance for all of our customers and things. You can actually spend as little as an hour and a half a week per branch, and you will get success as long as you follow that schedule. But what we found more and more is more and more people use our fully managed service.
So this is dealing with the issue where, and I know it myself, me and my own old compadre Peter Fennick, we got very excited setting up our first repeat newsletter with Brief Your Market. I think we had about 43 articles that went out. It was just ridiculous. We went crazy and everything else. Next one, it went down to 20 articles. By newsletters 3 and 4, we were going, oh my God, and it just becomes, because life, takes over, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you're not spending all the time there. So what you've done here is you've essentially said, look, we appreciate how difficult this is. So let us, as you said before, almost like a marketing agency, if you want us to, we can take over that role. Is that correct?
That's exactly it. We just say, you let's agree the schedules. Let's agree what localized content you want in there every month. We'll even do their social media for them as well. So we'll pick up their LinkedIn, their Facebook, their Instagrams, and we'll just say, we'll do that and we'll manage that for you. And all you then have to do is look at the results. So every month we'll speak to you about the next month's campaigns, but we'll speak to you about the results we've got and check you're on the leads that have come out of it, and you've known which ones are the primary leads and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's fairly straightforward then for them. So they have that 2 levels of service, and quite a lot of customers use both. Quite a lot will still take the fully managed service where we're going to do it, but they'll still do campaigns on top. So, for instance,
they know that they've got a base level going out, so they can. But actually, when there's time for an ad hoc campaign, you can do that as well. Actually, I was going to ask you. I saw one that was really, really successful from first out, and again shows the value of you guys being, in the property industry. It was a really clever look. I don't think it was anything other than what most estate agents were discussing, but you guys jumped on top of the stamp duty announcement, didn't you? Went out very quickly, almost within an hour of that, and said, look, this is the time to make opportunity. The one I saw was you and Pygott and Crone teamed up, And again, going back to that point before, we weren't talking about a single instruction. We were talking about a number of certainly appraisals, and I'm sure that's led through to business. And that was within just 24 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had about 5 different versions of the article ready, so we were literally ready for the announcements as to what the government were going to say, and as soon as they said it, released that, put it into our campaign library, made it available for all the agents, told all the agents it was there. With Pygots, they were on fully managed services, so we just rang them up and said, "Do you want to send this?" Yes. We pushed the send button, and they got terrific results from that. I think it was something like 60 valuations within like 60 minutes. It was phenomenal.
Put that in context, they're about 8 or 9 offices, aren't they? Is that right?
Yeah, I think they've got 9 offices, haven't they? They're Lincolnshire, so they're a rural agent.
I know they've got departments as well, but I mean that's some level of delivery on that, and that's great, isn't it? But that's what it's just about: relevant information at precisely the right time, isn't it?
That's exactly it. Simon. Yeah, you've got to make it relevant, and so if you hit out, it was therefore about hitting the right part of the database as well. You don't send that campaign to your whole database because you're going to start to annoy people, because some people will see it as spam. But if you've got anybody you've done a valuation for in the last 8 months, anybody who is potential for anniversary of exchange, they're the type of people we're going to send a campaign like that to push them over the edge.
That's really good. And one of the challenges I know, again, that there were so many options. It is so configurable, Brief Your Market. And then you fell into, and I suppose like a lot of the CRMs, actually, big complex systems have to be configurable to match all the different agents and where they sit in the marketplace. The challenge with that there is that, sometimes you find clients are only using a smaller percentage of the package than you want, whether it's 20% or 50%, because then they're not going to be big fans of almost by definition, are they? Paying whatever the fair amount of money is, but not using 100% of the package. So how have you changed over time there? Is that hand-holding approach, that account managing approach, much more defined in terms of making sure that you're always trying to tell your clients about bits of the system?
Yeah, so first of all, we target ourselves on return on investment. So all of our account managers are targeted upon return on investment of their customers. So it's sort of not their success, not our account manager's success, their customer's success actually rewards them. So that's the starting point. If they're not getting success, they're not getting rewarded. And then in terms of getting that success is only possible through usage of various elements of the system. So we break it down, and we have what's known as the Activate program, which we take the customer through for the first 3 months. We then have the Succeed program, which is the next 3 months. And then we have the Enhance program, which is the next 6 months. And each of those bring in various elements of the system as they go through to make sure by the time you get to the end of the 12 months, you've got a super user who understands all of the elements.
So it's not, as you said earlier, kiss and forget. It's very much you're in this for the long term.
Yeah, exactly. They're married to us.
Okay, that's good. I think it's really important, isn't it, these days? People want to know that they're hands-on. And as you said, I mean, personally, if I was thinking about starting up an agency or looking at just refocusing my marketing with digital and looking at Brief Your Market, I would be very much just saying, well, costings aside, obviously making sure that it's stacked up, just taking away that that headache of worrying whether you're going to do it, going for the managed service to start off with, and then learning the capabilities over time, so that if over time you wanted to decrease it and take full control, you can do, but at least you knew that you were getting the return you needed to justify it in those early days.
Exactly. So just have it going on in the background, allow somebody to do it. But then I tell you, one of the ones that I always advise people that they should do themselves if they've got fully managed, and that's Electronic 2020.
Yeah.
So where most agents hit the 40 nearest houses with a recently sold or a fresh on the market card that goes through their door. Now, we advocate that, but actually, if out of those 40 nearest houses, you already had 30 in your database with an email address against them, you would be far better off sending a recently sold in your road email to them because you're going to get a higher response rate.
Yeah.
Because all somebody has to do is click the button and go reply, type away, how much did you sell it for, or how long did you have it on for, or is their house as well decorated as mine, whatever they want to ask. They're just in a fluid conversation like that with a reply button. Whereas a card is going to go through the door, and now we've got to encourage somebody to ring the phone number or go on the website from that card. So
they're looking at Papa John's or whoever your mate's pizza.
Exactly, Mario.
Mario, sorry, yeah, Mario's there. That's really rich. Does anyone? I mean, being honest, does anyone else have that functionality, or is that a Brief Your Market USP?
That's a Brief Your Market USP. Nobody else has got that at all.
Yeah. I was talking on the earlier one actually with Roy for looking at obviously the valuation tool, and we were talking about whether the being able to have click in and link through to people like Repit's digital agents and the other CRMs have them there. That's a natural walkthrough again, isn't it? Is get them interested. You've got you've let them know that something's gone on or changed down their street. And look, would you like us to just pop in and have a chat with you about it? It couldn't be any simpler in terms of a easy digital journey, could it?
That's exactly it. You make it as simple and easy as possible. We have the calls to action that says, click here to book a valuation. We're actually doing an integration with one of your other suppliers, Yomdel, at the moment, because we also want a call to action beside it that says, do you want to just live chat? Because we know that there's this sort of fear factor that if customers click, book me a valuation, they're going to have somebody on their doorstep with a for sale board ramming it in the lawn, all that kind of thing. Whereas live chat, they can stay a little bit more anonymous.
People love that, don't they? People love that element of chat. That's a really clever tie up there, because I think one of the things we were saying is actually the public are getting very aware. I remember in the old days of using Brief Your Market, and back then it genuinely was black magic. Just that the thrill I got when I knew, and I still get it today, to you, when you know someone's opened your email, obviously, in terms of and for a long time that really was a dark art. No one knew, but actually so many people know about it now, so it's almost become an expected customer service level, hasn't it, in its own right? If they know you've got this technology and you're still not following them up, even though you've done a lot of different things, that's actually going to reflect badly on you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. All consumers expect that now, and that dark art has moved on one step further now, because the dark art's now on the website, so it's tracking everybody who's in your database through to your website, spying on them. So I don't know whether you've ever been on AO.com and looked at a fridge or something like that. As soon as you browse away, your phone starts ringing. And they go, oh, hello, it's technical services. Was there a problem on our website?
Now, that's a bit scary, isn't it? But
it's really scary.
What that does show up, though, is the function. And I've said for some time now that for me, the holy trinity has to be for an estate agent. If you're going to look at one in the part of your tech stack that needs the most attention, first of all, your CRM obviously as the foundation, I still believe, of the business. That's my bias coming from there, but that's the source of truth in many senses there. But then your ability to have that integrating and proper two-way integration with a marketing suite, an EDM solution like Brief Your Market. But then, as you've just highlighted there, is you can't ignore then the biggest shop face they've got digitally themselves, their own website, can there? And actually that holy trinity need to be feeding off each other, don't they? So that because otherwise you will be missing opportunities. There will be a Chinese wall, and it's going to make and it's hard enough, making best use of all this data and marketing it if you don't have transparency on all of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's an intrinsic element of a sales funnel. The shop window, as you call it, the website, completely intrinsic element. What I would encourage agents to do is think about a customer journey and go, well, how do people arrive at us? Some might start on Rightmove, and they might go from Rightmove and make an inquiry like this. Some might start on Google and they'll come in like this. But look at all of the touch points they have with your business, whether it's a website, whether it's an email landing with them. Look at all the touch points. and work out whether the touch points are what you would want to receive as a consumer and what the customer experience is of that. Because it's not really just a customer journey, it's a customer experience now. The better the experience, the more they're going to engage with you. And as you say, there's now a level of expectation as to what an experience ought to look like now. All these apps create that level of experience. If you go on an app now that was like an Uber, let's say, and it didn't actually know where you were, you go, well, that's rubbish, isn't it? I have to put in my postcode. What? I have to put in where I am. You have this level of expectation, and it's the same of an estate agency's level of customer service. Their digital marketing should be at this level now, and they should understand what the consumer's thinking of their service because of that. And that's the difference. Yeah.
So we've spoken about all the CRMs there, and you've mentioned obviously Yondell. Are there any other companies that are that you do integrate with that would be of relevance here? And I would just point out to everyone: do make sure when you're looking at companies like Brief Your Market, obviously on their landing pages on Kerfuffle, there is a integrations tab there. So we are trying to obviously profile this to give you as much help as possible there, because we appreciate it's a key part of a lot of people's decision making as well. So Rich, who else is there? You got anyone on the horizon as well?
Yeah, so we've got the integrations obviously with all of the main CRMs. We then integrate into some of the mortgage softwares and the conveyancing softwares and things like that.
Right.
So we have some key partnerships there. We also have key partnerships with some of the major auction providers as well. So the likes of the SDLs, the I Am Solds, Pattersons. We work with those guys so that so the data sitting in with the CRM that's relevant for those journeys can go off straight to those guys. And then non-integrated, we've got relationships with the likes of a Yondell, which will be integrated at some stage, but then there's Data Loft, Resi Analytics, people like that. They're not integrated, but we have a partnership and we have a mechanism that we show them how they could use that data within the system and how they could get that working.
So it's fair to say you're probably one of the most integrated with applications in the marketplace, aren't you, realistically?
Yeah, well, in the marketplace, we are the only provider in the entire market that could actually have what I would call a universal schema. So a universal knowledge of all of the different databases. So whether it's a Reapit, a Desres, Vibra, whoever it is, to translate that into a common language. So yeah, we're in a unique position that we can actually translate it, and that's why we work with the largest conveyancer, for instance, because we can help them translate their customers' data on the way through to their language. Same with mortgage providers and things like that. So yeah, we are probably one of the most integrated guys out there.
Great. And well, you said schema, so instantly I glazed off, but I managed to bluff you that I was paying attention still. So you mentioned obviously that, there was obviously, if people weren't doing digital marketing during lockdown, well, frankly, what were they doing? How were you able to step up to help agents during COVID? Were you more proactive? What were you able to do?
Yeah, well, during COVID, we recognised that they were furloughing loads of staff left, right and centre. So for our customers, what we actually did was that fully managed service, we did a slimmed down version of that for everybody, and we just gave it to them. So as opposed to our account managers ringing them to say, oh, what do you want to do? They were ringing them to say, I'm going to do these sends for you. Are you happy with this? If I schedule for this for the next 2 months, do you want me to get on and do this for you? Because obviously our field account managers weren't traveling around seeing anybody because they weren't allowed to. So instead of that, we used their time to actually be doing the sends for everybody. So we really helped them out there and actually produce more business out the back of it for them, to be honest. Still have business going through.
Okay, great. And I mean, it would be remiss of me. You've already got a deal up on the site anyway for our wonderful Kerfuffle members there. But I believe you're even being more generous and throwing something else out there. Do you want to just give us a bit of an overview for our lovely, as we said, people like Sharon, who's just jumped in here again, and she's made the point. She's been very polite and proper recently, aren't I? So well done. You've down the swearing just for a moment. Rich, just talk us through how you're able to help our Kerfuffle members.
Yeah, so our normal offer is that they're going to get 20% off the setup fee.
Yeah.
But what we've said is anybody who wants to sign up through Kerfuffle over the month of August or September, we'll give them 50% off their first month's license fee. So normally it takes us 4 weeks to set somebody up, so their first month's license fee won't kick in until they're set up, but they'll get 50% off that. And then, as I said earlier on the call, I'm happy to put a guarantee in place that any of your customers who come our way, if I can't get them a return on investment within the first 3 months, I'll give them their money back anyway.
I love that.
I'll give them,
That's putting money where your mouth is there. Just check your phone. Is Damon texting you, sort of going,
Get off the air.
charging the door. No, Rich, genuinely, that ultimately is what it's all about anyway, isn't it? So look, thank you once again for it. Look, you're ultimately you've heard some of the people. We heard from Kai before. You're 5-star rated, obviously on here. We encourage everyone, go and have a look at the landing page, see more information about these guys. And basically, yes, just obviously, if you want to inquire there or ring them up direct, just mention obviously your Kerfuffle, and Rich and his team will help out. So, Rich, mate, thank you very much. We'll stay in contact. I think it'll be very interesting. Next one, we probably should get a few clients on, have a bit of a round table, shouldn't we?
That'd be awesome.
That could be a really interesting angle there.
Yeah, okay. we could get some from different areas of the sector, like some of the mortgage ones, some of the property ones, and they can talk about all the different relationships with the estate agents and how we help. Perfect. That's great. And Kevin James, I think I read him out before, says always a great service at BYM. So I can't. Thank you, Kevin. Nice way to finish it, isn't it? So cool. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for taking part, and we'll catch up with you soon. Cheers, Rich. Cool. Thanks, matey. Speak to you later. Cheers, everybody. Bye.